Hey, thanks, Stephen. Appreciate you having us on. Yeah, so we want to talk to you about Kinetica. Put simply, we're a scalable database for time series, spatial, and IoT analytics, and want to talk about how you can use a database like Kinetica to really simplify and amplify your IoT stack. As we all know, IoT has come a long way, right? We're no longer talking about just connectivity analytics, red and green light. We're talking about being able to do analytics with context, be able to do ML feature engineering and inference, and deliver on prediction, prescription, anomaly detection, and common operating picture capabilities in a way that is rapid, in a way that you can do without having a huge lift. That's really becoming the challenge now. And that's where Kinetica comes in, because that's something that we've thought deeply about. And one of the main challenges that we see, is when you look at someone deploying a big IoT stack, they're putting together these elaborate pipelines to deal with the tremendous data velocity, the data scale. They're putting together, these bespoke pipelines to deal with denormalization, with enrichment, with aggregates. And ultimately, what that does is create tremendous complexity, tremendous developer overhead, and it creates problems at the application level where you have data coherence problems. You have problems basically structuring updates to make sure that your application level has unified metrics across all the different experiences that you're trying to deliver on the data consumption side. So with Kinetica, really our focus has been, let's make a platform that does the data consumption for you in a unified way and in a distributed way. We are a distributed database, and we can consume from data sources like data lakes and data warehouses, and do that in a way that's really simple, really unified, and dramatically lowers that TCO, because not only will we do the consumption, but we allow you to directly query in a way that's ad hoc without having to create these pipelines, right? So you have an engine here that can do distributed consumption, which takes away that need to have elaborate set of pipelines, as well as doing the query. So you take away the denormalization, the aggregation, and have your data come in its native schema and then query it right there at the data consumer level. And what we find is that this dramatically improves our customers' ability to deliver on time, deliver in ways that they can actually start caring about the application experience, the analytic experience, the ML experience. We've been built from the ground up as a database that really takes advantage of vectorization. So if you're thinking about how are you delivering this? We didn't fork ourselves as a database off of Postgres or MySQL. We rethought how our database kernels and algorithms work from the ground up to take advantage of many core devices. So not only can Kinetica take advantage of advanced CPUs, it can take advantage of the GPU, and this is really brought to bear tremendous developer TCO improvements, but also hardware footprint reduction. So at a major bank, we removed 700 nodes of Spark and delivered it in 16 nodes of Kinetica. A major retailer, 100 nodes of Cassandra and 8 nodes of Kinetica. And that's a theme we see over and over. With Kinetica, we're able to allow the developers and teams to be able to take away the tax and the penalty of dealing with real-time data streams, to take away the penalty of having to simplify and denormalize and pre-aggregate metrics for the data consumption layers, and actually just let the data come in easily. Let Kinetica worry about the data consumption and then query your full relational data in its native schemas in an ad hoc way with the high performance that your data consumption layers need. And just double clicking into that, what you can see here is with Kinetica, you have distributed ingest, but you also have distributed egress, right? So with Kinetica, when you connect, if you have an ingestion system, you'll route into our peer-to-peer mapping API, all hidden from the user. So using standard SQL interfaces, or you can have Kinetica consume directly from your sources, right? So again, distributed ingest is a two-way thing here, and you can do it really easily with Kinetica. And then you have the ability to tier out to our tiered storage system, which gives you tremendous scale. And then you have a consumption capability that has distributed key lookup built into it as well, right? So we're talking distributed ingress, but then also distributed egress, right? So a lot of your applications need to drive hundreds of thousands of key lookups a second. You have microservices. Kinetica can do that in a way that's, part of the same platform. You don't have to have one OLAP engine or one set of pipelines to feed a key value store. Kinetica can do that all together, as well as, expose standard interfaces like a Postgres interface or, a JDBC SQL interface. So in one platform, you get the best of both worlds, distributed ingest, distributed egress to be able to keep up with that tremendous volume of ingestion and consumption. And then also a really top flight analytic engine that is, purpose built for time series, spatial, and IoT analytics, and can do, as complex of a set of algorithms that you or your team desires. And, the final thing I'll say here, that we've thought about for, the IoT world is replication and synchronization. Often you see that this is how teams fall down, is, trying to basically juggle all the different replication rules they have as their data comes off their IoT devices. Some things they want to have, be one way. Some things they want to be two way. Sometimes they have, batch synchronization schedules. With Kinetica, you have the capability to have Kinetica orchestrate all that for you, and you have a rich SQL-based approach to define really advanced rules for synchronization and replication. Going into our case studies, here we've really focused on some of our highest volume customers where you've got real-time streams and they're doing really advanced analytics. And, again, they started with a really elaborate set of pipelines. They said, okay, we're going to have everything drop off of Confluent. We're going to create, a web of pipelines to try to do metric generation. And then we're going to plop those metrics down into a key value store so we can feed our microservice layer. Ultimately, what happens is you have customers that just give up. It's too complicated, and they, waste time trying to, meet the scale and meet the data coherency needs and, the code management needs of delivering this, where they really should be thinking about the application experience. So, at Citibank, they went from having, 700 nodes of Spark, trying to deliver real-time transaction cost analytics, which means that they're actually looking at all of the quotes, trades across, hundreds of different feeds across different markets, so that when someone wants to trade, a large amount of security, they know how to route that trade in the most price-efficient manner, right? So, they started doing the standard approach, which is like, we're going to land everything in Confluent, we're going to make, a whole bunch of pipelines, and then we're going to drop this into a key value store. That became way too complicated. And with Kinetica, what they were able to do is have things come in their, native schema, right? Have it be relational and normalized, right? As each market has their different schemas, have that all just come in, and then query ad hoc and be able to do that in a way that was performant. And, here you have strict SLAs around not just query time, but data latency. So Kinetica is able to handle the data consumption at scale and speed, and the queries at scale and speed. At Ford, it was a similar story where you had really high volume real-time streams, right? And here they needed to do continuous analytics that were fusing their breadcrumb data coming off F-150s to understand, the road networks and driver behavior, right? And ultimately, they looked at a number of different approaches, and they landed at Kinetica because, again, we would take care of the data consumption for them, take away the complexity of having to develop these bespoke pipelines, allow the data to flow in its native schema, and then create analytics that deliver, map assets that are consumed by the cars themselves to deliver what's called blue zones, which are really the areas of the road where, the car is able to turn on or off certain driverless features, right? So again, you've got huge data ingestion, complex analytics, and then large-scale data consumption. And that's really where Kinetica thrives. And we feel that, the modern IoT use case is really going to be about delivering these next level of analytics against high scale and having a large scale of data consumption. And that's what we're purpose-built for. So I appreciate you guys listening to me today, and look forward to your questions. Thank you.